Alright, we're gonna start over.
Alright.
Starting over again. Ooh, I know. Let's figure out, oh, you have something?
No.
Let's figure out who we're talking to first.
Okay.
So I want to talk to other real estate agents that are out there in the market.
Okay.
They're struggling. What do I want to tell them? I want to tell them to man the fuck up
Okay.
and do what the fuck it takes, you
Yeah.
pussies.
Yeah. We all know what it takes.
Just kidding, I would never put that on there. But it is true.
Yeah.
And
Try harder.
Yeah, show up every day. I feel like we're gonna have to use some scripts.
We're gonna have to use the script.
Something.
Alright, we're talking to other real estate agents. What are some of the problems that are...
Oh, okay, wait, I got an idea. Alright,
Alright.
let's just talk about what is your favorite way to get business right now?
My favorite way to get business. My sphere of influence, my friends, family. That's where my business has come from. And through social media, but really just having those solid relationships and connections. When I got into real estate, people just started coming out of the woodworks to me just because they appreciate me, they value me, and they want to support me and be successful. So
What are some things you're doing to your sphere of influence to make sure you're getting business from them?
posting, making sure that I'm top of mind. You know, everyone's on social media all day, every day, one way or another. So posting, putting myself out there, which is something that I was uncomfortable with in the beginning. And just having genuine conversations. Hey, how are you doing? Do you need help with anything? Not always is it geared towards real estate, but I just want them to know that I'm there for them regardless of what they need.
So sphere of influence is one of your favorites. What's another favorite source of business for you? What's working?
So what is working is circle prospecting, other names, circle dialing, things like that. But basically,
Tell us about that. What does that mean? What are you saying to people?
calling neighborhoods around listings that have sold or just went active. You really want to find them where it's only sold or been active for a day or two. You don't want to do something that's been in the neighborhood for 50, 60 days and they already know about that.
Basically something new that not everyone in the neighborhood already knows about. Some new information to present.
Exactly, bring value to, you know, because once they hear like, oh, it's listed for how much, it's sold for how much, then that it's thought provoking and it just starts that conversation.
So real quick, if I was an agent who doesn't even know what circle prospecting is, just explain it in the shortest terms possible.
You go on your MLS, go to your active 0 to 1 days, anything in your area that you are comfortable with working and you know your market in that area. That way you sound like a professional or a knowledge broker. You call around that neighborhood. If there's 600 homes, call all 600 homes, as many numbers as you can find. You can find that in what we use is iMaps, but your public records. Just get numbers and call them.
Okay. So you're calling people. So let's say something goes active in Canoe Creek Woods across the street. That's a neighborhood in St. Cloud. I'm going to call everybody on that street and tell them everything there is to know about that house, engage their interest on if they've ever thought about selling their house.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
And most of the time you're gonna have all reactions of take me off of your list, stop calling me. You can't help that.
Part of the game.
It's a numbers game. You want to find the people that are genuinely out to have a good conversation. I've been on the phone for 30 plus minutes with someone just talking about their life, not even about the selling and everything. And then at the end, you have that relationship, that rapport is built. Hey, is it okay that I stay in touch with you over the years and, you know, just see how you're doing? And 9 out of 10 times they're going to say yes.
Yep.
So it's about circle prospecting. You can find things in the now, which has happened for me. I got a listing from doing that. But it's also for future business and just making sure that your business can withstand time.
What's your success rate? So for just the other agents out there that are listening, like the expectancy, what should they be expecting? How many people do they need to call before they get somebody?
I would say hundreds.
Hundreds. So
Hundreds.
how many, just rough idea.
For an example for that listing that I got, there was about 560 homes in the neighborhood. There was multiple phases and I just started at one end, went down the other, and the first half it was just nothing, like almost discouraging, if you will. But I said, hey, just keep pushing through. There's a finish line. Just get to the finish line. The other half, I had the one listing and then about 2 other people who are kind of like in the year range of wanting to do something.
So 500, you called 500 people, or you at least worked through a neighborhood of 500 homes.
Yeah. And then probably found 300 numbers.
300 numbers.
Spoke to maybe 60 people.
Okay.
And then had good relationships with about 10. So
okay.
The numbers go down quite a bit.
Oh, right, but it's a numbers game, like you said. So with a neighborhood of 500 homes, you actually got 300 numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You talked to 60 people. You got 10 people to answer the phone and be friendly, and out of that 10, one of them turned into a listing.
Yeah, and pretty quickly too.
Good job. And how long did that take you? How was it all week? Was it a couple days?
So yeah, I did not use a dialer for that. That was a bunch of clicking and loading, and as long as the Wi-Fi connection is strong, you can get through it. About 4 days it took. Obviously, I had other business that I had to attend to and things, so just making the calls when I could.
4 days. How many hours do you think you spent calling?
Maybe 2 hours a day, like for that.
So you spent a total of 8 hours calling, and you got one listing.
Yeah.
So if I could guarantee you that if you spent 8 hours calling every single day, you'd get one listing, would you call 8 hours a day every day?
Yeah.
All we got to do, there's nothing to it but to do it, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's awesome, though. So congratulations. Keep circle prospecting. If it's working, keep doing it. Do more of it.
And to touch more on that, too, just for like any other agent out there listening to this, try to call everyone, your expireds, your for sale by owners, everyone out there. Like, you need to believe that they need your help, and without you that they may not be able to achieve their goals. So like, just have that mentality and mindset. But for people who are just having such a really hard time on the for sale by owners, and it's gotten to the point where they don't want to call anyone or anything, try out the circle prospecting. Like I said, I've had a lot more friendly conversations in that route because they're not expecting you to call, so they haven't already told the world that, hey, I want to sell this by myself, I don't want an agent, which if you're someone who calls for sale by owners, that's something you hear a lot. So yeah, just give it a try and see how it goes, and it's about making friends. There's
so many strategies you can use to get business in this market. The best strategy is the one you use.
Yeah, and consistently.
Yep.
That's probably the toughest part for some people. Mm-hmm. They'll get in a groove, and then business will kind of start rolling.
Take you off track,
and then it's kind of hard
in a different direction
to get back on track. But just as long as you're focused on it and you just do your best to keep getting back to it, you'll be fine.
So my favorite source of business right now, so there's 2 types of prospecting, right? You have active prospecting and you have passive prospecting,
right?
And you should be doing both. Active is things you can do right now to go find business. Passive is basically marketing. How can I get my name out there, my brand out there, and have people call me to come list their home or to come help them find a house?
That's the best phone call.
The best phone calls. But you've really got to do both. My favorite forms of active prospecting right now, and pretty much my whole entire career, have been open houses and for sale by owners. I don't know a better way to get people to come to you that's almost actively happening than open houses. Because in real estate, in any business, you need something to sell and a place to sell it, and open houses give you that. Right. I built my entire career off open houses, mega open houses, where we literally will put all the signs out in the office for one house, we'll put balloons on them, pinwheels, we'll make an event, we'll have a singer, we'll invite all the neighbors, really make it. I've had HOAs say, I'm causing a circus. And I'm like, yes!
It's working.
They hate me, but I love it because I'm getting business.
And your clients love you too.
And my clients love me too because I'm selling their house.
Yeah.
Now, so open houses and for sale by owners. For sale by owners, what better lead can you get than somebody who owns a home, wants to sell it, and doesn't have a real estate agent?
Exactly.
Can you get a better lead? If you can fight through the objections, There's no better lead than that. 8 out of 10 for sale by owners, I think it's a 9 out of 10 in this market, end up listing their home with an agent. And the great thing is you can rest assured that no matter what their objections are, if you truly believe that you offer great service, that for sale by owner is better off selling their home with you than on their own, because they're going to make 20% more on average even after paying a commission. They just don't know that. You have to get that across to them in a way that's digestible, that makes them feel like they're being heard and that their points are valid, but showcasing your expertise. So those are two forms of active prospecting that I really love, especially, just really in any market. Passively, one of the cool things that not a lot of people think about, or a lot of people do, is signing up for free referrals.
That sounds good to me.
Dude, I've got about 10 people like on my hot leads list right now, 10 of them, and all 10 of them are from referrals right now. One of them is a for sale by owner, but 10 of them are from referral companies, sold.com, Upnest, other agents from other parts of Florida. Literally, I've got this one girl who lives in Sarasota. She sent me like maybe 4 or 5 people in the last 6 months.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So building those referral partnerships, not just with those free referral companies, but also with other agents in your marketplace, letting them know, especially the ones who do a lot of business, letting them know that you're about your business and that you work really hard. They will send you referrals. You'll be the first person to come to mind.
Right. And I think that almost happens naturally. About being known that you're about your business. It's not something that you have to focus on making people aware of, because if you're just doing what you need to be doing, they're going to see it regardless.
Well, yes and no. So you can work behind the scenes, and your results, what does the Bible say? You can judge a man by the fruits of his labor, right? By his fruits.
Right.
But you can do little things that will show the world that you're working hard. And obviously, some of that is through social media. A lot of that is through social media. But I can tell you, like, whenever I'm out there putting out signs for an open house, everybody's driving by and they can see me. They're honking their horns. I'm waving at people. I'm smiling. I'm dressed, decently. Like, I'm not out there in a wife beater. I'm dressed decently, and people see that. People see you working. And when you put it on social media, they see it again. And they're just reminded constantly. If you're doing that every weekend, people can see you working, and they're going to think of you. You're the guy who hustles every weekend doing open houses. You're the most consistent person in your marketplace. People are going to remember you.
Yeah, for sure. And on top of the open houses, that's good branding as well. So it's kind of active and passive as far as, because when you're at the open house, people are driving by, and even if they're not in the market to buy, they see your sign and your name everywhere.
Right.
So just to furthermore them.
Yeah, the more listings you have, the more exposure you have. Really, all the agents out there, like I always preach, you should be doing both active and passive prospecting. So for me, it's open houses, for sale by owners. I know for you, it's circle dialing and probably open houses. You do a good amount of open houses too.
Yeah, and I mean mainly because that's what you preach to us. So listen to what works. I mean, when you see it working, you would be kind of crazy not to even try it.
Right.
And something you said earlier about the mega open houses, it's interesting to me that I'm still relatively new into this, and I've had other agents, whether they're new or experienced veterans, who have come into my open house and stopped by, and they kind of see how we're set up and how we run it, and we get the oohs and the ahs from those agents as well. Like, oh wow, you guys provide all of this?
Right.
And they're like, yeah, we just show up with a piece of paper to sign in and maybe water.
Yeah, like we did some open houses a while back. I know you did one too, I believe you and Dalton, but we make an event out of it, wine and cheese event, where we invite all the neighbors. We have a whole, cheese platter, a bunch of bottles of wine. They can enter for a chance to win a free wine. I had my little sister, she's an amazing singer. Yep. She was singing live music there. It was like this huge thing. We had signs everywhere, flags up, giant balloons on all of our signs. It's really the only way to do an open house. You don't want to just do an open house just to say you did it. You want to actually get people to come in. It's the best way to get people to come to you. And so you have to really do those little things, like getting the signs out super early in the morning, like putting balloons or pinwheels on every sign, making sure the signs are symmetrical. And listen, there's a certain effect when you're out there and you're looking back at the signs and you're making sure they're level, and you're making sure they're symmetrical, and you're making sure they're in the right place. People can see that kind of pride you have in your work, and they can feel it. My dad always says the same thing to me my whole life. The way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Right.
And so when you take care of the signage, when you take care of the actual open house and the sign-in sheets and the food and when you do those things, when you go the extra mile, that carries over into everything else that you do.
And the client is the next person to receive
Exactly.
that same treatment, 100%. I remember the one that your sister was at singing, that open house, that was the cheese and wine and everything.
Yeah.
I was at my open house, and it was a little, downscale from that. It was still a lot more than what other people are doing for their open houses, but I remember sitting at mine, and I had a good turnout, about like 12 people, so that's pretty good, especially in the market we were facing. And I just remember like, man, I kind of wish I could pop over at his, because it's like, the way you throw it, it's something like people almost feel bad when they miss it, or like, again, if they're not in the market, like they're like, man, I still want to go over there and just kind of hang out, and it's like a little party.
Right. Have you ever read the 48 Laws of Power? There's a law. There's a law in there. It's I forget which number it is, but it's the court attention at all costs.
Yeah.
Court attention at all costs. And your open houses, to be honest, they're probably going to piss some people off. They're going to piss off the other agent down the street doing the open house. They're going to piss off the neighbor next door, or they're going to piss off the president of the HOA.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not your job to please everybody. It's to, number one, sell the home and market it,
get results,
and get foot traffic, get people to the house. And number two, it's your job to get more business.
Right.
And so you really need to create a circus around your open houses. You really need to have it like bigger than life.
Is it true you had one, like, in the beginning you went so big that, like, you had a weather balloon or something like that?
Yeah, actually, the whole circus thing is funny because I did an open house. This was maybe like 3-4 years ago. I did an open house down the street in Camelot. And it's like a nice gated community with like a really strict HOA. And I blew it up with signs, just signs everywhere. And I know the HOA rules. They say you can only have like one open house sign per stop sign inside the neighborhood. But on the outside, it's city property. So I had on the outside, I blew it up. I mean, there must have been 50 signs. Every single one of them had a balloon. I went to Party City. I got these big, like, I think they're like 36-inch balloons or something like that. They're just ginormous. And, each one of the ones in the front had one of these big balloons on it. And I got them out there early in the morning. But I had the HOA out. They met me out there while I was at the open house, prepping and getting ready. And like, you got to take all these down. And they were fighting me on it. They're like, their complaint was that I was causing a circus.
Right.
And I said, listen, that's my job, is to get attention and to drive people into this open house. The more people I drive into the open house, the more I'm going to sell this house for. The more the values around it, the values of the houses around it are going to go up. You should be thanking me. Number one, I know the rules, and out here is not your property. It's city property, so you can't touch my signs. If you touch it, I'm calling the cops. And they didn't like that.
No one ever likes that.
They didn't like me being right. That was the issue. But it really was a circus, and I took that into the rest of my open houses. If I wasn't causing a riot or a circus, then I wasn't doing my open houses right.
I love it.
What else? So a lot of agents fail.
Okay.
Right? Like, there's agents in our office who failed. There's agents, plenty of agents in the marketplace who failed. One of the great things about us is we're a part of Tom Ferry's ecosystem.
Yep.
And we get the best of the best coaching. We're top producers ourselves, so you get to be close to the top producers. But a lot of agents fail. Why do you think a lot of agents fail?
A lot of reasons. I mean, the list could go on, but like they allow some external events in their life kind of get in the way, and then they kind of self-pity on that for a little bit longer than necessary, and then it just, like I said earlier, when you fall off track, for some people it's hard to get back on track. Mm-hmm. Another thing is it's just a simple rejection thing. I think for a lot of people, from birth and being kids, being told no, like you can't have that cookie, like no one likes hearing no. So after so many, it's just easy for a lot of people to shut down and not put forth the effort. And something I think you might agree on is, when we're getting no's, we know we're on the right track because there's a yes in there somewhere. You have to get through the no's to get the yeses. And just putting yourself out there. I think some agents think this is a part-time job.
Yeah.
And sure, there are some that have succeeded.
No, you really have to be full-time. You really you have to be working 7 days a week to be successful, especially in this business, especially in this market. But I mean, really as an entrepreneur, if you're not willing to put in 7 days a week, whatever you're doing is not for you.
Yeah.
It's not for you. You should go work at an hourly job and be average the rest of your life and get average things, because if you can't work 7 days a week, it's not meant for you.
Right. So yeah, just, even if you're an agent listening to this and you are in a part-time situation, just put in that little bit extra after your other job, just a little bit.
Every day.
It's a compounding effect. Eventually you're going to be able to make that leap, and no matter how ready you prepare yourself to be, you're never going to be prepared, I would say. There's always something that people are kind of scared of, and I think they get excitement and nervousness confused because it kind of feels the same.
I was watching something yesterday, and they say if you're feeling nervous and you're feeling anxious, that means you're actually doing the right thing, because what's on the other side of that almost every single time?
Your dreams,
your success, your dreams, what you're going after. If you're nervous and anxious, it's because you're doing something worth doing. You're doing something new.
Yeah.
You're doing something that's outside of your comfort zone. So if you have to get comfortable with that feeling, and you really have to lean into it. And one of the agents that is in our office, one thing that we always say to each other is, are you running towards being scared? No, what was it? It was God, I can't remember. Oh yeah, are you running towards being uncomfortable?
Okay.
What makes you uncomfortable?
Right.
Are you running towards it, or are you running away from it?
Right.
And we might have said it a little bit differently, but that was kind of the gist. It was like, are you doing things that are making you uncomfortable today? And so it's important to chase that and to really lean into it, because if you're never uncomfortable, chances are you're probably not doing anything worth doing.
Can I ask you, what is just one thing that is something that you're running towards that's uncomfortable, or what is something in the beginning, or anything you can touch on with that?
Oh yeah, for me it's public speaking.
Okay.
So, most people, I think there's like the two things that most people fear the most are death and public speaking. And I'm pretty sure they're more scared of public speaking.
Right.
But yeah, one of the things that I'm doing to run towards that is we just did a recruiting event last month, and it wasn't that many people, it was like 15 people maybe max. But getting up and speaking in front of them is like nerve-wracking for me. Right. I felt prepared, I practiced a speech. I ate a red hot chili pepper before, which was a terrible idea. Don't ever do that. And it really kind of fucked me up a little bit. But public speaking is big for me. It's one of the things that really makes me anxious. But I'm trying to do more and more of it.
Right. And you would say really only because from what I've noticed, when it's us in the office and the people there's not a problem. I was there for that hot pepper incident. And I don't think it was bad. I think, especially for the first time, it went really well and everything.
Yeah. What about you? What is something that you're running towards that makes you uncomfortable?
The initial step of going from someone who was not really on social media, I was kind of a ghost. I had the accounts, I never really used them. I was always just scrolling, looking at memes and stuff. Yep. And then getting into this, and I don't want to say creating an identity, but putting myself out there with my identity, and just being comfortable or uncomfortable with the fact of are people going to accept me? And with anything, once you do it, you realize whatever you were nervous about holds no merit. You kind of overplay things in your mind. So the social media was, in the beginning, the biggest thing. As of right now, that's a good question.
To touch on the social media thing, while you think about that, one of the things that I always say and that I believe in really, really strongly